Welcome to Fnatic versus DK in the International 3 group stages. These two teams are currently in the top half of their group. Fnatic are 8-2 right now, which they're tied with Na'Vi. I don't think anybody would have predicted that, and they went 1-1 with LGD earlier today. That's fantastic. I'm really excited to see how they're going to do against DK though. DK, maybe someone rate them a little bit lower than IG, just a little bit. Sorry, LGD. But they're still a top tier team, and they're also a Chinese team, and I'm just really curious to see how Fnatic performs against all of the Chinese teams. So for that reason, I'm very excited about this matchup. But it's also a pretty big determinant of, particularly for DK, they're a little bit closer down on the list of the standings in these brackets. I believe they are 6-4. Yes, they are 6-4. Fnatic is 8-2. So Fnatic is not really in danger of getting knocked down into the losers bracket, but DK certainly is. 2 more losses for them, and they will be tied with LGD, who is currently 5-5.
10 seconds.
And that's not good news for them. They would, they would. I guess it's like there's a couple ways they have of determining who goes into which bracket based on ties, but regardless, it means that they are at risk of being put, at major risk of being put into the lower bracket. So it's a big deal, this set of games for DK. They need to take at least one in order to maintain their lead over LGD.
10 seconds remaining.
But looking at the draft, gotta do this fast. Fnatic are getting the draft that they've really been going for quite frequently in this tournament. The one thing they don't have is that they're up against a Bat Rider, and they don't have an OD, and they don't have a Shadow Demon. That's what they did the last time, particularly versus LGD. What they used to completely shut down the Bat Rider from having any particularly fantastic success. But they do, however, have the Vengeful Spirit, which they've also been using to great effect. Really fucking fast on the swaps. I can't stress how amazing some of the Vengeful Spirit plays have been from Fnatic, but just instantly, constantly watching for the Blink Lassos from Bat Rider and swapping the lasso target and completely breaking it. It's a fantastic counter pick, and I think it's going to work very well for Fnatic here. I like their draft so far. It works. I mean, they're going with what works. They've been constantly picking the Dragon Knight, the Weaver, Lifestealer, OD. Those 4 seem to be what Fnatic favor for their tri-core setup, and they've worked really well. Weaver in particular, I'm surprised that they let Weaver in the draft, because he's been at least as scary as Era's Lifestealer. And Trixie's been running on Weaver in all sorts of different setups, 1v1s, sometimes in an offlane versus multiple people, and he's always finding the farm. And Fnatic will frequently apply pressure across the map and give him room to farm, so that he just has a lane all to himself, which teams have been doing that, and I think it's a terrible idea. They need to treat him like an anti-mage. Speaking of anti-mage, it's going to be a burning anti-mage this game, and that's a scary prospect. This anti-mage is going to get farmed. Ooh, Fnatic is doing this draft again. Ooh. I'll finish talking about the anti-mage first. If DK can survive for the first 25 minutes of this game, this is going to be a very farmed anti-mage. Burning, his farming is immaculate, and anti-mage is his opus of farming, if there is such a thing. His the masterpiece, the tool that he uses to create his masterpieces, however you want to work his metaphor out. Anti-Mage and Burning are match made in heaven, and also in this match in the group stage of the International 3. So it's a pretty good lineup for DK. They have the ability to hold off, particularly with the Magnus pickup. I like that as their last pick. I'm a little nervous about Magnus given his overall performance, but in theory, I like the Magnus for what it provides for DK. It's a lot of ability to delay Fnatic, and it's going to discourage some of the grouping up that Fnatic would like to do, which they've gone for a very aggressive lineup here. They have a pretty strong tri-lane coming up with Vengeful Spirit and Venomancer, probably an aggressive tri-lane. It looks like it'll be Era, Fly, and No-Tail together up in the top lane, with Trixie down at bottom and Hani in mid. And with Era, Fly, and No-Tail together, that's super deadly, and it's also very hard to stop. It's going to make life very hard for Burning. And what LGD...
Prepare
Was it
for
LGD?
battle.
Could be getting my my games confused here. No, it was Mouse Sports. What Mouse Sports did when Fnatic did this was they sent Anti-Mage mid versus Dragon Knight, and that actually worked pretty decently. Although Fnatic is heading down towards the bottom lane, so they might not be going aggressive. We'll see. But if it is an aggressive tri-lane, Mouse Sports adapted by sending Anti-Mage mid, and that worked okay. They got farm on their Anti-Mage, but they failed in other ways. So I'll be, but the problem is that Magnus, in that game, Mouse Sports had a Puck, and Puck happens to be a really good solution for dealing with Vengeful Spirit. So we will see. By the way, I'm experimenting a little bit with how I introduce the teams, waiting until they're actually out to their lanes to talk about which player is playing which hero, and trying to synergize it, make it more fluid. So if there's any anxiety about the fact you're not introducing the teams, then don't worry. Don't worry about it. I'm most curious to see if Fnatic will actually run the aggressive tri-lane. They certainly can, but they may just send Trixie up top and have him do his thing. It's unlikely that he would die in this tri-lane.
The battle begins.
They've only got one stun in the Rubik, and even if they get the telekinesis off, I don't know if they have the damage necessary. It's actually going to be a Darkseer tri-lane, so they'll leave Era down alone at bottom. Very interesting.
Damage.
I hope that's what it is, just because I like the excitement of it. Gets my jollies off. So it's going to be Trixie on the Darkseer with No Tail on Venomancer and Fly on Vengeful Spirit. And they're smoked up here. They want to surprise DK, and they may succeed in doing that. And they will. They're going to catch MMY with the Gale. There's the Magic Missile. Trixie's right on top of him with the magic, the Ion Shell. There is a 1-for-1 trade here, but Fnatic are the ones walking out with the... Ooh, it's a double kill going away. Possibly a triple kill. Could this be an overextension? Yes, it is a double kill for Burning. Wow, they go for the wrong target. Unfortunately, if they had killed Visage, this would be a totally different story. But because QQQ was alive, he got at least 2 soul assumptions, if not... Is that 2? Yeah, it's 2 soul assumptions off in that fight, as well as... he's level 3, didn't actually skill anything yet. That's a huge start for DK. But yeah, he got 2 soul assumptions off in that fight, and that was not acceptable for Fnatic at all. They got the Gale off, and it looked like it was going to be a really smart play. I mean, I loved it. But getting Rubik was really not quite who they wanted. They needed either Burning or QQQ. Either one would have been a totally viable option. They went for who was available, but in the end, they feed up 3 kills and give a fantastic start to Burning and a double kill. The good news is that this tri-lane is by no means out of it. It's a very strong tri-lane, and they're going to have a pretty good time of it regardless. It's going to be hard for Burning to get his farm. But moving on to the other lanes, I hope there will be no more kills in the time that I can cover these other lanes. Over in mid, Hani will be on Dragon Knight versus DK's... versus Super on Magnus. Pretty even matchup, potentially favoring Magnus just a little bit. They'll both be bottle crowing, however, so it's not going to be too much of a difference either way. Down at bottom, it's ROTK on Batrider versus Era's Weaver. And this is a matchup we've seen a lot of, particularly because of how much Weaver's being played in this tournament. And consistently, Weaver's coming out on top. I personally believe that Batrider has the ability to make this work, but needs to harass a lot more than I think ROTK currently is. You've got to deal a lot of physical damage to the Weaver, but the problem is he's been pooled some regen. He's actually got some good farm off already. He's got a magic wand. It's actually impossible for ROTK to harass him out at this point. And especially with the Shikuchi, it's just so easy with the magic wand charges to just continually spam that. You have all the mana you could ever ask for. Plus he's got Basilius on top of that, so it's a good lane for Era, and usually the Batrider manages to get farm. But the mistake that I generally see is that teams will rotate the Batrider out and then leave the Weaver alone to his own devices. And when you leave a Weaver to his own devices, he farms. And that's not good. So up in top lane, Burning is having no, he's not really having trouble. 15-4. He's doing okay. He's actually got Trixie's only got 10 less hits so far. The constant pushing of the lane under the tower would be a problem for Burning. If he weren't burning and he didn't get those early levels, honestly, those early levels make a huge difference. He doesn't even need a Quelling Blade because he hit level 3 at the beginning of the lane. So any trouble that he might have had last hitting, he will no longer have. There's a lift onto Trixie, pulls him back. Fly shows up just in time to get the magic missile onto Burning. This should be okay, although there's the soul assumption from QQQ. Just gets it off in time. And that will be a kill for this top lane. Trixie should not be dying. It's pretty unfortunate, but that's the power of Visage for you. He gets the kills where you just don't expect them. And Fly not being there, they rotated the supports out. I think because they were going to leave Trixie all on his own, which was a fine idea, but unfortunately the way this is played out for Fnatic, Trixie would have been okay on his own, but because they fed kills up there, they felt kind of committed to the tri-lane and ultimately just slowed down Trixie's levels, which has hindered his ability to compete in that tri-lane. But the good news for Trixie is he can just rotate in the jungle and be okay. Down in the bottom lane, 24 on RTK versus 21 and 8 on Era, so slight advantage for Era, but not overwhelmingly so. No-Tail's got a smoke up. He's still level 1, but he does have this Gale, and if he can land the Gale, he pops the Firefly. It just hits! Perfect Gale from No-Tail. This should be a kill for Fnatic if they can keep chasing, but the Firefly is taking him all over the place. Oh, and up onto the cliff where he is no longer reachable. Sad days for Fnatic. They do chase RTK out of the lane, but they really wanted a kill out of that. The early roaming from No-Tail is just not paying off just yet, and so they're going to have some under-leveled supports. Not good news for Fnatic up against this anti-mage, who has had such a good start. Now, they can handle a farmed anti-mage, and this is it for DK. If Burning is not going to succeed, this is kind of their 4 protect 1 a little bit. Oh, there's a rotation mid, Hani. He steps out just in time to get away from MOI's telekinesis, but this is a little bit more classic DK. They've got the Burning on the anti-mage, and if Burning doesn't get his farm, then DK's fucked. That's kind of how it's going to be. There's always the chance for amazing reverse polarities from Super, which could definitely happen, and that can always turn things around. But the only major source of DPS is going to be from... Oh no, there's the RP onto Hani. But No-Tail's here, he lands a Gale, but it's not going to do anything. The soul assumption from QQQ. Hani, he's running away. Can they catch up to him? Yes, they can. The soul assumption certainly can. This Visage is doing a lot of work in this game. So Hani goes down mid, and things are looking really nervous for Fnatic. The one lane that's going well for Fnatic is this bottom lane. Era's getting farmed, but he's not enough versus an anti-mage. You really need that Dragon Knight to have a good start. So the 4 protect 1 for DK is actually working out. Because of these ganks, particularly the Visage pick is what's really making this work. Telekinesis helps, but it's honestly these soul assumptions that are such a big deal. No-Tail needs to find some levels. Fly's getting them. Oh my god, actually Fly's level 2 at 7 minutes in. He'll get level 3 off of this this neutral pull, but yeah, both of these supports for Fnatic are so underleveled at this point, and was that Visage hitting 6? Yes, it was. My game always lags up when the familiars get summoned. But there's not many places on the map to do that aside from these pulls. And No-Tail's not a part of them. He's kind of sitting mid, waiting for something to happen, but Hani is not... I mean, he can maybe make use of the Gale a little bit, but they're not going to find any kills together. And 500 HP on this Venomancer is dangerous. Oh, nice Dragon Tail from Hani. But there's a telekinesis backwards and another shockwave, and this should be Hani going down. And so it is. RTK, he's shown up with the double damage. Will not continue the chase, was considering it for a moment. But that's another death on Hani. It's 1-6 at 8 minutes into the game, and 2,000 gold. 2,000 gold is a really big deficit. So is 3,000 experience. I normally don't look at the experience graph too early, just because it's It can be misleading, but in this sort of game where Fnatic are supposed to have a significant early lead,
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
being behind by that much when there are no towers down is very problematic. Era looks to be going for the Lincoln Sphere, which he's going to have to because of the lasso from Batrider. RTK will not be... Oh, there's a lasso underneath the tower. Is the time-lapse going to be soon enough? Yes, it is. Can he get back in time for the... Nope, not the deny. The deny from RTK. Make sure that the tower will go down. So good lasso from RTK, buying just enough time for him to get that deny. Yeah, so Air's going for the Lincoln Sphere, which he needs to because of the lasso. Super, he's got his arcane boots and working towards his blink, which is gonna be a big deal. It's gonna make life even harder for Fnatic. Now, as negatively as I speak here, Fnatic are not out of the game, and it's important to remember that they've got a Darkseer who's very strong versus Anti-Mage. Good walls and vacuums, particularly if they get the stun up and they're able to burn through Burning's mana. Get it? Burning his mana. I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna find a good one at some point. Darkseer can be pretty effective in the mid and late game versus Anti-Mage. And Fnatic, at the current deficit they're facing right now, this may go late if Fnatic is able to hold on. Now, DK, as soon as they have the Blink Dagger up on Super, they can start diving onto these towers. Until they have that, it's a little bit difficult unless Fnatic steps out a little too far. The wards here from Fnatic are quite thorough. They've got sentries here, and they want none of this business with smokes bothering Hani anymore. And they've got so many wards, like Observer ward here and here, making sure that there's just no chance that they can be caught off guard. What's the steal here? It's Breathe Fire. Which I think it's smart warding by Fnatic. The mid-tier 1 is the most important point on the map for them, and that's where DK has spent a lot of their time. I think DK could probably be pulling further ahead if they were utilizing a little more of the map. RTK has rotated into the jungle to get his Blink Dagger up, so she should have that in probably about 1 minute. Might even have it right now. Pretty close anyways. Burning. Gonna play Guess the Battle Fury timing. Gonna say 16 minutes. And given that he hasn't rushed it, he's gone for Treads, Poor Man's Shield, as well as a Magic Wand. That's pretty good timing. Smoke up here by Fnatic. They love to kill Burning. That would make them feel so much better about their place in the universe. Will they be able to find it? There's a surge onto Hani, but he blinks away just in time. Wow. Narrowly escapes death there. That Dragon Tail had landed, which it was so close. That's an instant cast, and he would have gone down. But Fnatic will find a top tier 1 for their trouble. Super's got this RP. Available for usage, but he doesn't really want to dive into this. It's very dangerous, especially with the Dragon Tail. Dragon Knight is pretty strong versus Magnus because in terms of reaction time, if Dragon Knight sees it coming, even if Magnus starts the animation, Hani will the animation. There is no cast point on Dragon Knight. I don't know if mentioned this before, but he actually has zero cast point. Everything he does is just instant. And so if Hani is quick and he's already facing Magnus, which is the big trick. I mean, if he has to turn, then that adds some time. But the stun is instant, and that can stop a big reverse polarity depending on the timing. And he has to have the dragon form popped as well, otherwise he has to be in melee range, which that's not very viable. $1,500 gold on Era. He's farming decently, all things considered. He hasn't died, but DK looks like they're thinking about... Nope, they were just checking the jungle. Haven't seen a lot of rotation from DK, and I think they're kind of giving up the advantage that they took early on. Yeah, you can see the gold really hasn't changed since those early kills. The experience certainly has. Fnatic has had to spend probably almost as much time grouped up. And both Burning and Era have spent a lot of time solo. But I don't know. I feel like Fnatic needs to... I guess they really have to wait for the Dragon Form on Hani before they can go for another push. It's the only way that they can take a tower. And No Tail, he's level 4, 14 minutes in. Of all the supports in the game, I think Venomancer is probably the least concerned about levels because it's just 15 seconds slow. That's all you need him for. It's great to have the extra levels in wards, and the Poison Nova is certainly great too. But I don't think that DK are all that worried about that at this point. They should have a mech up on somebody relatively soon. I don't know if anybody's building it, actually. I kind of would have expected QQQ to be the mech builder of this game. But there is, in fact, no mech. But that's the finished Battle Fury. 14 minutes on that. Nope, actually, yes it is. Ha! So he'll have it on in 15 minutes. So a minute off, not too bad. But this is where things get really scary for Fnatic, and the gold deficit should start to careen back downwards as Burning continues to farm, and DK are not really in a rush.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
They're happy to let
Top tower
Burning
is under attack.
do his thing. There's a smoke up on 2 here by DK. RTK has his Blink Dagger, would love to make its first usage into something really useful. Era, he gets caught. Sentry Ward is placed. Can he time-lapse in time? Nope, no chance. Easy kill. Oh, No Tail. He gets hit with a Soul Assumption. That's almost all of his HP, and there's just no doing. Oh, actually, he might be able to make it out. No, RP onto 2. Nice. Good Dragon Tail from Hani. Finds a return kill onto Super. Burning has rotated as well. Finds the Mana Void on No Tail. There's a buyback from Era as well. He wants to make something happen here, but at the end of the day, it's a one for 2 with the buyback on Era, so it's pretty costly for DK or for Fnatic. They do get the mid-tier 1, so there's that. I don't understand the buyback on Era. I think he was expecting that fight to go on a little longer. The vacuum into wall was also really good from Trixie. Helped keep that fight from going any further in DK's favor. Is there anything on the courier for Era? Nope. Just that Ring of Health, which that's what happens when you buy back. So his next item is a long ways off, and they really need his damage. It's basically up to Era and Hani to take down the anti-mage in this game, but Burning is gonna be so farmed. I mean, he's already a full 2,500 ahead of Hani, and that's only going to get worse. I think the only upshot for Fnatic right now is that they don't have any towers down, but and they've got the Ancient stacked. I didn't see that this was going on. That's actually a pretty big boon for Hani, and he clears through them pretty quickly thanks to that DD. Should have his Shadow Blade relatively soon. Yes, as a result of getting that Ancient stack, he gets his Shadow Blade, which that's exactly what Fnatic needs, because they need to start finding kills. They can't be passive anymore. They have the map open enough, just enough with the top tier 1 and the mid tier 1 down. The jungle is an open place for them to explore, and Hani could potentially find something. The double damage is going to end pretty soon here. Oh, he needs to get out. Smoke up onto several here. There's a Dragon Tail onto MMY, but he's stolen Shikuchi, so MMY will be okay. QQQ, he skates away with the Grave Chill. Should be relatively safe. MMY has to be careful. 90 HP. The familiars will get picked off, so that's a pretty fortunate thing for Fnatic. There is a resummon available, however, so it's not so bad. So Hani shows off his fresh, shiny Shadow Blade without getting a kill. Burning is farming the enemy jungle here. He's rocketing up 137 last hits. It's only getting worse. It doesn't seem possible to me that Fnatic will be able to take down Burning. He's just not going to let it happen. And there's a smoke up here for DK, but it looks like they're just
Dire's
using this to
middle
get
tower is under
down to the
attack.
bottom tier 1 quickly. Although there's a blink in onto Era. There's the lasso. There's no chance for him to time-lapse out of that. And things are looking real bad for Fnatic.
Bottom tower
It's 2-9, 18 minutes in. They're going to lose this tier. This is the first tower of the game going this way of DK. And I think it's going to be one of many in the next 5 to 10 minutes. He's got a haste rune, so he can kind of hang around mid if he wants. Work on this tower. There's a lift backwards. Could they find a kill on MMY? There's a Gale that hits on Super. In fact, he's not going to get an RP off. He's going to go down way too fast. Pretty good kill. A swap onto QQQ brings him back in the fight. There's a soul assumption on Fly, but he'll be okay. Burning has shown up a little bit late here, and he is not really ready to fight yet. He's gone for an ability-heavy build, and oh, MMY. They want to get No Tail. The finished off with the big Mana Void onto 3 from Burning. That was huge. Wow. That Mana Void did a lot of work. It's a 3 for 3 in this fight so far, which I'm amazed that it's as even as it is. But
Radiant's top tower is under
I
attack.
guess Fnatic comes out on top. They give up their supports for some kills on Hani, and they get some damage onto the mid tier too. But they do give some kills to Burning and a lot of experience. That Mana Void was really nice. I don't know who he used it on. Maybe it was the Darkseer. Imagine it was. So that landed pretty hefty Mana Void. Had a lot of weight to it. And it landed on 2 outside of that, so a lot of
Radiant's
damage.
top tower
And
is under attack.
the big advantage for Fnatic in that fight was taking down Super immediately. He does have his Blink Dagger now, so he's a big threat in these fights. And if you can take him down early, he teleported. I mean, it was a cocky teleport, very far forward, immediately into a Gale, and then a Dragon Tail from Hani. So no chance to make it out. And Magnus is not. I mean, 1,000 HP. It's a pretty hefty chunk, but not with a Dragon Knight wailing on you. No Tail does hit level 6 as a result of that fight, so Poison Nova finally in the game for Fnatic. Will be a nice tool, particularly for disabling the Blink Daggers on Super and ROTK. So if you can land that in the middle of a fight, then that'll inhibit their ability to escape. At this point, it's really not so much about the damage. It's about the fact that it is damage that disables a Blink Dagger, rather than the actual quantity of the damage. Perseverance up on Era. Someday he's going to finish a Lincoln Sphere, and it's not going to matter. He's going to need a lot more than that to make this game go his way. There's a Mechanism and Soul Ring up on Trixie. 800 gold on top of that, as well as Arcanes, so he's been farming pretty decently. Fly, sitting on boots and an urn. Not going for the carry-oriented Vengeful Spirit, which I do so love to see. I wish I could have seen some of Virtus Pro's games, because I've been losing a lot, and before this they were winning a lot with the semi-carry, the support Vengeful Spirit that turns into a semi-carry, which is one of my favorites. As far as DK goes, there's Arcanes and Urn up on MMY. Could be going for a Blink next for that ultra powerful initiation. There's the Mechanism up on QQQ, as well as Arcanes. There's a lot of mana regen here for DK. They're not going to be running out of mana. Manta Style just picked up by Burning. His farm continues to careen upwards. He's at 12,000. The next closest on Fnatic is Hani at 8,700, and Era is all the way down below three of the heroes on DK. He's 1/3 of Burning's, or sorry, a little less than 1/2 of Burning's farm. I keep reading that 2 is a 5. Point booster on
Dire's middle tower
Trixie.
is
I
under
really
attack.
like this.
Radiant's
Oh.
structures are fortified.
Dragon form popped on Hani. There's the stun on Burning. Can they make this fight work? There's a nice reverse polarity on 2 from Super, but there's a big reverse, big wall into vacuum from Trixie. But this fight, ROTK, he goes down first. Wow! I can't believe Fnatic manages to make this work, and they get the tower deny.
Tower has been denied.
Great work from Fnatic. That was I would really probably credit most of that with Trixie. The wall into vacuum. was pretty perfect, and this is a level 2 wall. So, I think it is, yes. So those illusions are really starting to become relevant. Ooh, Hani, he can catch up to QQQ here. Yes, he does, and this should be another kill. Fnatic, they're not letting up on the aggression here, and they know there's no reverse polarity. There's no time lapse, however, for Era, and the nice swap from Fly will keep Hani out of the fight, but Era does still go down. Trixie, he lives just long enough to secure the kill on Super. Actually, one right click from Hani is what secures that. MMY, he will go down. There's a magic missile onto Burning. Do they get the kill on MMY? No, they do not. The Shikuchi is such a good steal. Such a good steal for Rubik. And Fly, he realizes I'm on my own. There's nobody nearby, and RTK will go to finish off No Tail. So what looked like very calculated and oh no, Trixie, he gets lifted back. Is there anybody here? There's a blink dagger on RTK, and he's got another lasso. And that's gonna be it for Trixie. He can surge himself out. Are they able to keep up? There's a 5 charge solo summon from QQQ. He doesn't use it in time. He was in range for just a second there, and doesn't quite get it. So Trixie does manage to make it out. So yeah, over-aggression from Fnatic. A little bit. Chasing all the way from here, all the way to here. Which, that was enough time for Super to respawn and then die again. Which, that doesn't matter so much because he didn't have a reverse polarity in that fight, for the second fight anyways. Oh, RTK sticks around a little too long, and Hani is keeping his team in the game here. RTK will juke downwards, but he can't activate the Blink Dagger because of that goddamn beetle, which will just finish him off, no problem. Maxing Swarm. It does work, man. It's a really good spell. Take note of the other Weaver players. Been seeing a number of professional players skip Swarm. I would say it's probably more common at this point to see Swarm than not, but it's really good. Burning, however, none of this trite business concerns him. He has farming to do, and he didn't die in either of those fights. Has he died yet this game? Nope, he's 5-0-6. This is classic Burning anti-mage. Has not died. Unlikely to die in the near future. I imagine it'll be a heart coming up next on him. That seems the most probable, the likely suspect, just so he can live through these fights. If he gets dragon-tailed up again, it won't matter, because he will have the HP to live through whatever Fnatic can do in that period of time. There's actually a heart coming up on Hani. He wants to just straight tank up, which I can see the rationale behind it. It's uncommon to go straight for a heart on Dragon Knight, but I think he's realizing that as long as he's alive, his team can still fight, because he can continue to Dragon Tail. His only limitation is mana, which is a limitation, but HP probably the bigger concern. It's also really good for going up against anti-mage. It means that Mana Void will just not be a concern for him. He can eat a full Mana Void and it will basically do no damage. No damage whatsoever. Era has finally picked up his ultimate orb. I have to wonder if he'd gone for something else, something that provided more stats earlier on. Would he have died in these fights? Would the aggression have paid off? If he had a medallion, would Fnatic be where they are today? It's a tough question. Era is going to walk straight into ROTK, and I don't see a way out of this for him. They can... yeah. Era is just not having a fun game, and without him, I don't know why Fnatic are on the dire side of the map. Really have to be careful here. Especially No Tail. I mean, MMY, he's still got that Shikuchi. MMY has held onto this Shikuchi with like a death grip, and for good reason. It's made it so hard for Fnatic to actually kill him. And he can continue to be such a nuisance in these fights. Burning will probably solo this Roshan. He's got his heart up, and he'll drop his Quelling Blade, or perhaps his 4-man shield. I bet it'll be that he'll sell the 4-man shield. No, damn it! Tried to guess. I thought he might keep the Quelling Blade just to keep his farm rate up, but at this point, with Manta Style, he's got all the damage he needs. So the heart picked up on Hani just right around the same time. I'm impressed with Hani's farm so far. He's done a really good job, and I think part of that has to do with the constant ancient stacking from Fnatic. that's honestly the difference maker here for Fnatic. That's gotten him the early Shadow Blade, which has resulted in any of the kills that Fnatic has gotten. And it's gonna keep his momentum going. Nonetheless, it is stretching into 10,000 gold in favor of DK. 14,000 experience at 28 minutes. That's ooh, and it just changes to 15,000 and says no, the thousands are too small of a number for this graph to be counting. It will change to the 5,000s now.
Double damage.
DK are feeling pretty good right now. I can't believe they haven't taken this mid-tier 1. They really could just walk in and take it if they so desire, but I guess the aggression from Fnatic can kind of encourage DK to not take anything too risky here. Super's working on his BKB, which will be a solution for that Dragon Tail that keeps stopping him from getting the reverse polarity that he wants. Oh no, there's a lasso onto Era, who he gets swapped out. He's gonna be able to time lapse and will live as a result. So Fly sacrifices himself for his teammate, and it's good for Fnatic. It's Era not dying.
Radiant's middle tower.
If he can get that Lincoln Sphere,
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
maybe Fnatic can do this, but I don't know. I have a hard time seeing them challenging this push. Really nice wall from Trixie, right on top of everything, and Burning's illusions are quite deadly. So he's really got to be careful about that. And 2,300 gold on Trixie. He's not that far from his Ag Scepter. An Ag Scepter could be potential tool of turnaround for Fnatic. Especially with the rest of DK not really getting that much farm. I mean, they have some things. They're not poor. But I could easily see anyone else on DK getting ripped up by a Darkseer illusion of a level 3 Ags wall from Darkseer. It could happen. And it has happened, in fact, in the past. I think that's how Fnatic lost that 96-minute game. I'm going to keep bringing that up just because I'm just, like, bitter about Fnatic losing that game. No reason for it. DK removed yet another outer tower off the map. They've got 3 minutes left on the Aegis, and I think they'd like to take a tier 3 with it, if not a Rax. Dragon form popped on Hani. He's hit level 3 now, so this dragon form is quite something. Oh, RTK! He gets caught by the Dragon Tail, force-staffs himself out, and Super was thinking about going in, but does not manage to. Oh, but there's a lasso onto Hani. Does he have a? Oh, nice swap from Fly. Will guarantee that Hani is going to live through this fight. Good poison Nova from No Tail. Mana Void does not land from Burning. He's not able to finish off the animation for it. Hani, he will get finished off with the Mana Void from Burning, but he immediately buys back. The question is, can Fnatic take this still? Burning, he manages to take down the tier 3. And there's he's still got the Aegis though. Taking him down is not that important, honestly, because he's got that Aegis. He may just return and what's he gonna do? Fnatic is on the chase here, but they cannot get baited out. Oh, Hani, he has no more mana. He's getting absolutely wrecked by the illusions of Burning. Pops the Shadow Blade, so he'll make it out for the time being, but Burning, he can go to town on the rest of Fnatic, no problem. And look at the Battle Fury. Yeah. It's a triple kill for MMY. I guess he finishes everybody off with the Shikuchi and the Fade Bolt. So, good for him. Fnatic calls the GG, 32 minutes in, 8-22. Everything went wrong for Fnatic at the beginning of the game. If that gank had gone the opposite way, which I thought it was a brilliant gank, you don't expect the level 1 smokes on just 2 supports. Especially, it was really well set up. Trixie standing alone, doing what a solo lane solo lane Darkseer would do. And they get MMY first, but they end up feeding all 3 kills. They just underestimate the damage of Burning, and because he hit level 3 almost instantly, which in a tri-lane, that's so huge. Especially to get the levels on Visage as well, meant early familiars, that meant more levels in Soul Assumption, which meant more kills from Visage in this game. 8-1 and 12 on QQQ. You could say that he carried this game because he has the most assists and the most kills. No, Burning carried the game with his excellent anti-mage play. 0 deaths, never gets caught out, not a single time. And joins his team at exactly the right moment to end the game in pretty convincing fashion. But things could have been very different. But Fnatic went for a bit of an all-in with this Vengeful Spirit Venomancer. It's a very risky play, and if it doesn't pay off in the early game, then they can really find themselves behind. I'd also say Era could have played a little bit better. Had some unnecessary deaths, and as much as he needs the Lincoln Sphere against Batrider, perhaps should have picked something else for survivability, because even just a small amount of HP more could have made the difference. Anyhow, get into game 2 in a minute here.